Guys, we got another figure, and today it is, as you can see right up in your face, is the brand spanking new, badass SH Figuarts Shenron figure from Bandai. So let's take a look at this thing. It's beautiful. Just came in a couple days ago, maybe a week. Never got around to making the video, but this guy has been sitting on my shelf ever since, and wow. I have no idea why it's a figure. Should be a statue, but this thing is fantastic for what it is. Definitely not a figure. It's pretty unique. This is definitely the most unique Figuarts in my collection so far. So let's take a look at this real quick. But first, we'll put this off to the side, and we're going to take a look at the packaging real quick. Let me just put this somewhere. I have no idea where to put it. He's huge for a Figuarts, and he's awfully imbalanced. So let's take a look at the box. It's big. When it first came, it came at like in a 2-foot long box to try and accommodate this thing. Got it at Big Bad Toy Store this time. Yeah, I believe it was Big Bad Toy Store. I think when I went to go to Ami Ami, they were actually sold out. So here's the front of the box. Beautiful picture of Shenron on there, in this kind of half-open box window display. Dragonball Z at the bottom, all the different logos, Tamashii, Bandai. Just a very simple looking box. It's not simple at all. It's a very intricate box. Here it is on the side. Black silhouette. And on the back, pretty typical Figuarts fare, but look, this right here, this little crop area right here is about the same size as a normal SH Figuarts box, so you can see this thing's like 2 to 3 times bigger, wider at least, than a regular one. You got a bunch of pictures of Shenron. Kind of misleading. Does not come with this, actually. And I don't think it says that on the box. Oh no, it does say that. In a very tiny lettering, yellow version is sold separately. Effect Thunder parts. So this is the part that you can get, the special effects from Tamashii you can buy. Definitely looks cool with this. But it does come with this little explosion effect with the Dragon Balls, which kind of, it's supposed to imitate him coming out of them as he was being summoned. Very freaking cool. And that's pretty much it for the box. Kind of simple, but very nice, very nicely detailed. And now back to the figure, which again isn't really a figure. Now getting this guy in this pose was a nightmare. I definitely don't recommend moving him once you got it in a position, but when you get him, he's not going to come like this. He's going to come in parts. Let's see, I think 1, 2, 3 parts, 4, 5 if you want to count the actual antenna, his whiskers, as the figure comes in those parts, and then you could just take him off the stand, and he comes in couple other pieces. We'll just set them along there. Comes in a couple other pieces. This effect part at the bottom is actually in 2 parts, and as you can notice, I put a piece of tissue paper because the weight of the figure completely rests on this. The tip of the tail actually rests on this, so I put a piece of paper to prevent it from scratching, because it scratched when I first got it, and set them on there, and I was like, nope, not doing that again. So I put a piece of paper just to rest the tail on. But as you can see, it's nicely painted. It's got orange glow OSL kind of look, object source lighting on there, highlighted orange with yellow tips, clear on the bottom, just sits on there, doesn't really peg onto anything. And the Dragon Balls are a little less detailed, so they're all connected together, molded as one, and they still got you can still see the connection between them, so it kind of breaks that illusion that they're separate Dragon Balls, but it's got a nice color to it. And they don't have stars on them, so it's kind of silly, but whatever. Can't really see it too much once it's set in there. It's got grooves in the base for it, and it's actually supposed to go a certain direction with the concaveness pointed downwards, so you don't really see the connectors between the balls as much as you do. So when you put it in, it's a little more of a streamlined kind of connection, but fits either way. Now for the figure, comes in a bunch of different pieces. It's actually just pegs. Once you set it, you kind of don't have to take it apart again. But as you can see here, it comes in, ooh, it's not going to focus, there it is. It comes in pegs that have notches in them that fit into holes in here that have notches in them. So you just line them up and you press real hard together, and they will stay together pretty fairly well. And now he's got a natural curve to him, so you can't really straighten him out, but you can play with the rotation of the joints and get it in a sort of straight way, but then you're not going to get the abdomen pieces to line up, because when you do get them lined up, it gives them the curve that you see on the box art and all the promo pics. So he can't really be straightened out. Now the two torso pieces, the leg part and the upper body part, I got these two confused. I'm not even sure if they're on properly, but I think they are. But do be aware of that. You have to make sure, because I think only one goes on the head and the other one's for the lower body, but it's hard to tell the difference between the two. As far as articulation goes, the parts that were separated are the parts that can rotate. So you got tail motion down there. It doesn't actually bend. It's one stiff piece. You got so it's got this really crazy curve going on down here. Wraps all the way around, so you really can't get this guy in a straight pose, because if you try to, the spines aren't going to line up, the belly isn't going to line up. So it really is. That's why I say it's really more of a statue action figure than it really is a real action figure. So it's kind of interesting how they even bothered to give this guy articulation. You can't really use it. On his lower body, there's two arms, which are pretty articulated. You got a ball joint at the shoulder, and then a ball hinge between the connecting parts, and then a swivel at the bicep, double joint elbows, and a ball joint wrist. Fingers don't move, and that's same for both arms. Everything twists and turns. He's like a snake. Extended. This guy is huge. Like 2, 3, probably like 3 feet long if you could extend him outwards. But that's just how much plastic lining you're going to get with this guy. It's pretty awesome. I mean, again, he was like $100, I think. But yeah, the paint job is really sick. It's got a nice matte stomach lining, and then the back is a little less painted, but it looks pretty cool. It looks like scales. And the green on the back is a different green, and it's matte as well. It's darker, so it stands out. Now the arms up here are exactly the same as the ones that were lower, and above that you have the neck, which is another piece, and it has, oh, there you go, it has a bunch of different, look, it just looks like a snake. That's pretty cool. Now let's check this out. This has a bunch of different segments. So at the neck you have one down here. They're all the same peg joints, but these don't really come off, and it reminds me of the Ghidorah, so I'm not really going to play with that too much, and hopefully it doesn't come off. But it has a natural curve to it. So you got one segment there, two, smaller one, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 segments all the way up to the head. And at the head, the mouth moves. It opens and closes, a lot like Ghidorah, reminds me of it. I'm hoping it doesn't pop off, because I remember once those popped off, it was impossible to keep them on. Can't tell if the tongue can move. I've tried to get it to move, but no success. Jaw closes, opens. That's it. His head swivels, bends a little. No articulation in the horns. They're a little soft. And so are the whiskers. The beard and the whiskers. The whiskers are 2 separate points with really tiny connectors, so you have to be careful with these and hold them at the base when you try squeezing them on. The eyes are nice, bright red. You can see that. That is just beautiful head sculpt. The scales are individually sculpted. Fantastic figure. Love it. I wish I brought my SH Figuarts monsters to compare him to, because he's about the same size as Ghidorah when it comes to scale. I guess when you pick up his head, that's a Ghidorah head, basically. Feels like a modified Ghidorah head, but it's definitely not. So, again, same connector joint down here. And it fits one way, so you have to be sure you put it on correctly. Now, getting him onto this base. Speaking of base, let's look at that real quick. God, he's huge. Comes in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 parts that you just put on all together, and they have very specific ways of putting them on, but they do rotate freely. But they only hold them at very certain angles. So to put them on, oh man, I don't even remember how to do this. I know his head goes on like there, rests on the chin up there. Lower part comes down around here somewhere. Actually, I think this is a nightmare. I think it comes around like this, and he rests like that. You gotta follow the pictures like exact. If not, it's not gonna stand. So something like this. Something. Okay. The pictures on the box, follow that and it will work nicely. But this is about the general idea. You want the bottom part down here to come behind his second arm, his armpit, on the second arm set. I think on the armpit or above it. It's very specific. And just like something like that. Alright? This thing's weird. But yeah, the most articulation you're going to get out of this guy is from his neck. Neck and hands. Other than that, just leave everything. Something like that. Okay, where you're going to try to put most of the weight on either side, on all three sides. This will prop up against here. This will hold some of the weight, and so will this. And if you do that right, it shouldn't put too much pressure down on the bottom, but you are going to have to squeeze it in there. I like to put this last because of all the fiddling I usually have to do. And it just sits there. There's no real place for it, so you're just going to have to feel for it. And I lost a little paper that protects it, but that's okay. And your finished product is going to look like this. And you could either have them looking up, down, left, right, whatever you want. Open mouth, closed mouth. Open, I don't know what I just said. But it's something like this. Alright? And it's got that really cool infinity kind of thing going on, shape to it. And he just looks fantastic on a shelf. Now, all the spines will line up if you do it correctly. And he will be sort of balanced if you do. And if you pick him up by this part, and it's balanced, then you've probably done it right. Because if not, he's going to be either top heavy, back heavy, and he will fall. So I feel like this one's very prone to taking a shelf dive if not properly balanced. But I haven't had a problem yet. But he definitely does feel like he has potential for it. Now for size comparison, let's bring in a Figuarts. Something from the same line. Here's Nappa, recent figure, just came out. Not sure if I did a review for him. But, love him. It's pretty cool. There he is, standing next to it, so definitely not in scale. I mean, even though this guy's huge, standing next to any other Figuarts, it's still going to look kind of silly. But as like a centerpiece, like above everybody else, and given the illusion that it's further back, then maybe, yeah, this is going to look great. But, I mean, aesthetically, it does look really good with these guys. Just not proportionally. There he is with, I mean, this guy's a little bigger. Let's see if we can get somebody a little smaller. Like, I guess Goku, you know. These are standard measurement of everything. There he is. So it looks pretty cool. It's going to look something like that. Now, currently I don't have Shenron with any of my other Figuarts. Go figure. I have him on his own. He does look that good. Like, he looks really good on his own. With the Figuarts, it does kind of complete the look, but I'm sure if you got some kind of like setup going on, that would be really cool. And speaking of which, if any of you guys have a setup for this guy, definitely share some pics or something. I would love to see what you guys have, how you guys display this guy, because I find him hard to fit, just because of his size. Doesn't look right with these guys. But again, if you put him high up, probably looks better. If anything, I'm going to keep them next to my Monster Arts. Those look good. Because the shelf that I keep on top of is my monster shelf. Doesn't take up too much of a footprint. I mean, that is pretty wide, and yeah, he does take up a lot of space. But he does look fantastic. Definitely a action figure, not an action figure. I have no idea why this has articulation, but it does. And it looks great. So, I can't wait. I really hope they do a Purunga. That one was my favorite. This guy not so much, but still so glad that I picked him up. Again, I picked him up at Big Bad Toy Store. You could pick yours up there still, I think, for about 100 shipped. But I usually get my stuff at Ami, so, you know, those two places I bounce back and forth between. Yeah, guys, if you like this video, definitely give it a thumbs up, and if you have any requests, I have a couple figures I haven't gotten around to, like some Nendroids. I think I have Mei that I never got around to doing, or Ryoku, or that Ava in the background. So if you guys have any requests, just let me know below. Let's keep the discussion going, alright? Hope to hear from you guys soon. This has been Joe, Collector's Domain. Peace out.